All right, we are live. I
Yeah.
think that we can start. There weren't just one, two, or three lockdowns. Each of us experienced his or her unique lockdown. Some were unintentionally forced into months of solitude, while others were holed up in close contact with family members. For some, it was a chance to slow down, while for others, it meant taking on far more pressure in their work or family life than usual. Almost 1 year ago, from one day to the other, we found ourselves locked in our houses. We were abruptly eradicated from our comfort zones. No more work, no more parties, no more religious ceremonies, or even sports for some aspects. The walls of the place in which we lived suddenly became the borders of our existence, marking new limits and forcing us to change our point of view on the world inside and outside them. Even if we would like to, we could not come back to the past and set again, in these days or in the next future, the old patterns of what it was considered the normality. It is not just a matter that the world is changing rapidly, that work schemes, social habits, economics problems, and opportunities raised in such a short time. If it is true that the world changed, we did it either, whether we like it or not. And the world is changing because we are also transforming ourselves. Despite what we might think, our personalities are far from being stable and fixed. Modern psychological researches demonstrated that personality traits can evolve throughout our lives and in response to major events, something the coronavirus lockdown certainly was for most of us. How did we react to this unexpected emergency? What did we discover in the moments in which we were alone with ourselves? Have we been inspired from these discoveries? Do we perceive now, a year after the outbreak of the pandemic, these changes in our personality? Do we accept these changes or are we still fighting against them? Is our personality fragile? These are the questions that we will try to address in the course of this episode of A Student's Diary. I'm Lorenzo Pesando, and I'm a student in Economics and Management for Arts, Cultures, and Communication at Bocconi University. And today I'm here with Giovanni.
Hi to everyone. I'm Giovanni. I'm also a student at Bocconi University, but I study law. And today we are also here on behalf of Culturit, a network of university students, professors, and professionals present in 12 Italian cities and universities. It works on actually innovative and high social impact projects aimed at enhancing Italian culture and the strategic industries for the Italian economy. We do so by leveraging on our network, creating new connections and opportunities among students, professors, and professionals. This is what connects us to Particle, so this desire to bridge communications, communities, and close gaps. We do it through consulting projects, training, and development of soft and hard skills. They do it through art, offering immersive and interactive experiences. I would also like to introduce you and thank Caterina Farnia, a visual illustrator who will join us today and help us visualize what we are going to talk about, so personality. A special thanks goes also to Angela Rocca, psychologist who helped us during the preparation of this live, so giving us useful tips and insights about psychology and in general, and in particular about the study of personality. And I would also like to thank the unique AL students who are joining us today for this episode. Before starting, I have to ask you if you can go to slido.com and type the access number that now you will see on the screen, or you can just use the QR code. And this is really important as we will use this tool to ask you some questions during this live. So if Chris, you can, exactly, this is the, so go to slido.com and either type the number, the code, or use the QR code. So in this way, you are going to be able to jump right into the conversation and share your thoughts and answer our questions directly from our website.
It is very important for us that you join this website, as we prepared some tools for this live, and so take your time to digit the code, and then we can start with our live.
So in this way, we will be able to do it in a more interactive way through questions and little exercises of basic psychology, obviously, as neither of us studies it, but
yeah,
it has been interesting.
We have to say that we're not psychologists. We're just here to offer you some hints on which to reflect on, to reflect about the way in which you lived your lockdown, the way in which also you changed during this pandemic, and from the first lockdown onwards. I think that now we can start. The last call, the code for Slido is 84553. So we can start. Why are we talking about fragility of personality? We have to consider that personality is something which shapes our experiences, but it's also something which is shaped by the experience that we face in our everyday life. And whenever the experiences that we live provoke in us some changes that are not completely accepted or understood or contextualized by ourselves, then we face a situation in which our personality is somehow dissociated from us. And indeed, it is this is the very reason from which also psychologists observe all the problems related to the personality. So we are talking about fragility of personality, but today we can also talk about the fragility of changes, in the sense that the subject of the live of this episode is indeed the way in which we can manage changes, and the way in which we can try to understand them in order to be in peace with ourselves and not to feel like strangers when we reflect about our personality. Then we want to comment a bit this photo that you can see on the background. This photo is taken from the Maria Rapicavoli's artwork, that you probably already seen in the exhibition of Particle. As you probably know, Maria Rapicavoli artwork is based on a reconstruction of pieces of broken glass that she saw in the streets of New York during the pandemic, and in particular during the protests raised by the Black Lives Matter movement. When she saw these pieces of broken glass in the streets of a shop window, she decided to come back home and try to replicate what she saw. And she tried to replicate these by modeling thousands of pieces of clay. And indeed, this is one photo that shows exactly this process. She's trying to modeling these pieces of clay in order to model her experience, to model the reality around her, and to give also a sense, if we can use this word, to the moment that she was living. So the live of today is indeed a research, an attempt to understand how we are shaped by our experiences, and how we can understand them. And then we can go now. We can go on with a definition of personality. Giovanni, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So if you go to Slido, we have first brief questions for you that you can answer to. So in order to understand, what do you think of when we talk about personality?
We launched the pool on Slido, so you should be able to see it.
So asking to our Unical friends, what do you think of when we talk about personality? What did you answer to the question?
Moira?
All right. For the question before, what's the first image that we picture out on our mind when we hear about the word personality, right? All right. Okay. So, for me, personality is something like shows that our true self, and how do I put this into words? But it is something that we cannot cheat, and
Okay.
everyone will. So you know what I'm talking about. So
So something
I
in the inside, not something
yes
you can
yes
see on the outside. Okay.
yeah, exactly, right.
Okay. Yeah, this is really interesting because it's something that we are gonna talk about. So the difference between the outside personality and the one inside. So the one that you, as you said, you cannot say you cannot hide it for.
Yes, it's true. You cannot
Yeah.
hide it because it's your personality, and you cannot even cheat about it because everyone will know just by looking at you and how you behave.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
that's for me.
Yeah.
And Amisa, do you want to share with us what you wrote?
Yeah, sure. For me, personality is something that the color. I mean, in terms of humans, in terms of items, in terms of situations. Yeah, you know, the color is there's a lot of colors. Means that your personality does also have a lot of colors, right? So yeah, it depends on the situations and what terms you're facing at the moment. So yeah, this basically, in my opinion, personality, the color of humans and also everything is around you. Yeah.
Yes, actually, personality is indeed formed during our first years of life, and it is something related to our genetics, but is also something that can be modeled during our life. So it's yes, a matter of a platform which will not change during our life, but it's also a matter of colors in the sense that we can choose the different colors that we can give to ourselves during our life. And this is also interesting because it's a different cultural perspective on personality.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Giovanni, do you want to talk about the history of the concept of
Indeed.
personality?
So if you can have also the screen exactly of Caterina, and she's drawing the idea of colors, as Amisa said. So it's true that personality is composed of different colors. It's not something stable, but it changes a lot depending on the situation and the people you are with in a particular place or period of your life. And so I think with that it's important to say something about personality in general. So personality as a word comes from Latin, and so personality, persona in Latin, and which means mask. So the one you use for the theater in original, or nowadays also for carnival. But the idea here is the mask for the theater. Because, as you know, I don't know if you know it or not, but in the ancient Greek and Latin theater, there was this different type of mask depending on the character and the personality also of the character. So Dionysus was always drawn in a certain way, so the gods, or the old man, the young boy, so all the characters, because people seeing this, the people seeing the representation had to recognize them easily, also from far from the stage. And so the oldest precursor of the study of personality for our culture, so for the Occidental culture, was Hippocrates, who, in a view of a man's consideration as a microcosm, with the same qualities as the macrocosms, defined 4 personal types. So always this idea of mask, based on the fundamental mood present in the human body. So melancholy, wrath, phlegmatic, and blood. Also for Latin, it was practically the same, because Cicero defined personality as the appearance and dignity of a human being, or that part that is resident in life and not by chance the person represented the mask worn by the actor. So the opposite of what we said before, so the personality inside, so they are focused more on the personality outside of people. But this idea of theater was also present in the Japanese culture, because the Japanese ancient theater contained a number of masks having features corresponding to the concept of contemporary personality, so symbolizing the transition from one stage of life to another more mature, because obviously our personality also changed during our lives. It's impossible to be always the same. We can change only in a sec, from a second to another. So if you want to present a general definition of what personality is, according to the Encyclopedia of Psychology, personality refers to the individual differences in characteristics, patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. So the study of personality focuses on 2 broad areas. One is understanding individual differences in particular personality characteristics, such as sociability or irritability. The other is understanding how the various parts of a person come together as a whole. So it's a complex structure, obviously, that it's affected also from what's around us. So obviously the lockdown is something that affected our personality. So I now like to ask you, what was for us the first lockdown, or in general the lockdown for the pandemic did to you? So how did we all change due to the pandemic and the lockdown?
For example, Amisa and Umaira, how did you live your first lockdown? How did you spend it? When was it, for example? Because in Italy it started at the beginning of March, but I suppose that in Malaysia it started far probably later, or not?
Okay, I'll go, right? Okay, first of all, during our first pandemic, it was during 18th of March, if I'm not mistaken. During that date, we are in our campus, and I still remember during the night of the date of the 18th of March, there is a news about the COVID, and that is the first day of our the order of movement control order. So we are ordered to go back to our hometown right at the moment. So yeah, everything was quite chaos at the first, but yeah, you have to slowly adapting yourself, right? So
Yeah.
to be yeah, there's another story behind it. It's just my personal experience. Actually, I applied for Italy University Students Exchange. Yeah, and I will be flight during April.
Okay.
Means I will be come.
Okay.
I will come to Italy at April, but
Amazing.
yeah, the thing is, COVID comes right before,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I can't I can't go to your country.
Oh, that's so
So
sad.
yeah, it's so sad. Yeah,
It's really.
but there's a silver lining behind it, right?
Yeah.
Italy was one of the country that has the highest cases right at the moment, but now it's getting decreased gradually. Thank God. Yeah. So I think basically our pandemic situation has taught us a lot of things in terms of positivity and also in terms of negativity. It's just the things that you have to adapt with something new. At the end of the day, you do you. I mean, like people always complaining about virtual learning or so on as a student especially, but the thing is you have to adapt yourself. I think that pandemic is something that change yourself into instead of yourself, everything also changes. I mean, the condition, the country changes, the economics
Yeah.
changes, everything changes. Yeah, so the thing is we have to adapt ourselves with something new. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Well, thank you for sharing. Omaira, do you want to add something?
All right, maybe I would like to add something. During pandemic, I think I've changed a lot because for example, there's something that I never do, but during the pandemic, I try to learn. For example, like maybe something like editing skills, because most of the time, as I'm sorry, me and Hamiza is one of the student representative committee in UniKL. So it is a challenge thing for us to do our job during the pandemic. So I'm in the media at school. So I have to do a lot of things online. So during the pandemic, it's a positive things that I learned a lot about editing skills, and maybe something more like I work out more because I have the time during pandemic, even though it's online, so it's a good thing. But it's a poor thing when it comes to I cannot see my friends or even my family, because some of my family is not doesn't live near with us. So it's challenging because we cannot go to uh, other place. So I think that's all from me during the pandemic, my experience.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you, but because I think that it's true that in the probably the saddest situation we could possibly not imagine, it also gave us the chance to discover something new or rediscover things we've never had the chance or the time also to do so. Like you said, to improve your editing skills, or for me it was uh, to work out more, absolutely, to restart reading, because during university courses for me it's always impossible to read, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. And so I think that, and this is obviously connected to the theme of personality, we always, as humans and as human beings, try to adapt ourselves and to see the positive part of also a difficult situation, and so to actually to adapt ourselves. So, and we tried to study this, and now Lorenzo is gonna uh,
Yeah.
talk about it while Caterina draws it. So the possible changes of personality during the pandemic.
Yeah, the point is this in the sense that whenever we try to adapt to a new situation, we act defensive mechanisms. which can bring us to take new parts in our personality. Personality, you have to imagine personality as a box which must always be full of something. And whenever we lost a part, something which is in this box, we immediately replace this something with other activities, or, for example, other behaviors that we implement, that we act. I'm now going to launch on Slido another pool which asks you to choose different possible categories. Obviously, these are not scientific categories, but they try to point at all those personality traits that we actually acted during the first lockdown. For example, I'm reading from the question that I posted on Slido. The know-it-all, in Italian is the tuttologo, is a person who felt the necessity of having control on everything that was around him or her. For example, reading a lot of newspapers, or trying to express his or her opinion also on facts on which he didn't or she didn't have any knowledge about, but just for having the sake of control on the situation, she or he decided to express this, and it was like a fixed assumption, a fixed statement on the reality around us. Then we have the lunar. In Italian is il solitario, is the person who spent almost all of his or her lockdown alone, and for example, showed difficulties in studying or carrying out all the activities that he usually did. Then we have the reborn baker, which is the person who discovered that he or she has two hands which can be used for cooking, and thus spent a lot of time, for example, cooking or discovering a new way of eating. Then we have the wellness warrior, which is the kind of person who discovered during the lockdown the beauty, the pleasure behind, for example, doing some workout or eating properly and healthy. And then we have the quiz master, or also the social addicted, which is the person who spent a lot of time, for example, chatting, or he was always updated with the latest application, such as, for example, it wasn't Clubhouse, it was God. Can you do you remember it, Giovanni?
Party.
House party,
Yeah.
House party, all these kind of application, yeah. And these are just possible categories that can help you rethinking about your lockdown. The last in the list is the lockdown prodigy. Lockdown prodigy describes the person who succeeded in carrying out many activities during the lockdown, starting, for example, studying new languages or a new musical instruments, or, for example, that found a favorable condition in his or her apartment for working or studying better than, for example, before the starting of the lockdown. So these are all the categories. I think that we already have all the answer. Do you want to, Chris? Can you show the answer? Or all right, so we have a great percentage of people which choose the reborn baker, which is quite good, because discovering to cook also for us Italian, it's a matter of proud.
I was one of them.
And then we can also
one of them. I'm one of
All right,
them.
so it's me.
See, okay. And then we have the Lunar and the Wellness Warrior, I think also, yeah, which present the same percentage. And then we also probably 1 or 2 person which opted for Lockdown Prodigy. As I said at the very beginning, it is not possible. And this is also showed in a research carried out by some psychologists of Oxford and then published on BBC Future. It is not possible to talk about a general effect that we can see on the population in terms of changes in our personality. Because everyone reacts to the situation, to the reality outside us, in a different way. So it is not possible to state an overall medium change in the population. What is sure about the lockdown is that we had much more time to think about ourselves and to reflect, for example, on the activities or on the type of life that we were conducting. What psychologists observed is the so-called Michelangelo's effect, that it is not an overall effect, as I said, but it is a trait, personality trait, that was, however, observed in many situations with different, obviously, degrees of intensity. The so-called Michelangelo's effect is the situation according to which we found ourselves closer to the ideal self. I mean, the fact of being so exposed to death, the fact of being so exposed, for example, to a situation which was really unstable, brought us to rethink about all our life, and in many cases brought us to take action, to make decisions that made us closer to the ideal self that we always picture about ourselves. I don't know, for example, probably someone who always worked a lot decided to give up and starting a new activity, or for example, someone who always had the passion for, I don't know, music, decided to start playing a new musical instruments. And I think that this is quite, I don't know if you agree with me, Giovanni, but I think that it is quite positive in the sense that for the first time we had the opportunity to slow down our rhythm, to reflect, and also to rethink all the patterns, all our daily routine. What do you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we were like prisoners, we can say, both in the positive and negative sides of it, in our houses with only our family members, or also alone in some cases, and we were obliged to change and to adapt to the situation, because it's something that is part of our DNA. We are animals, so we are born to adapt to situation. It's the reason why we evolved during centuries, and why we have been able to improve our lifestyle so much during the last decades, in particular, and faster and faster as it can be. So the lockdown completely stopped us and changed our lives. And about this, as you said before, in fact, that probably there are some people that decided to leave everything and changed their lives at all. I'd like to share with you a story. It's not a story of complete change, but maybe more about a change of perspective. So this Italian writer, Chiara Gamberale, she's a very young and talented writer. She has always wrote about fictional stories, so something completely invented, not something that was related to her life. But during the pandemic, she and the the change occurred during the first and the second lockdown. So the fact that maybe she didn't expect to be closed in her home again, she completely changed her writing style. So from creating new universes, we can say new story, new characters, she started to write a book about her life, and in particular her life during the pandemic. So something autobiographical, we can say, which she never experienced before. Oh, obviously, it started for a personal something she wanted to. She has something to say and to take out from herself, and so she tried this these new writing styles. And so from negative situations, she finally found her real writing style. So I think that this is really something interesting, and maybe something that also it's an example of Michelangelo effect that maybe also some of us experienced. I don't know if you want to say something about it.
For example, Amisa and Umaira, do you perceive something similar? Did you feel? Do you think that you or, for example, some of your friends experienced something similar?
Okay, maybe Amisa can share first. Amisa.
Sorry, Gemini. Can you repeat what is the main point of your?
Yes, so this idea of the fact that the lockdown obliges us to change quite
Right.
not everything, but almost everything of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
If you experience it or not, or if you know someone who experienced it.
Yep. All right. So I guess in terms of what Giovanni had said before, I guess it's just the way that how the world is reacting towards us. I mean, uh, during the pandemic, everyone's had to take a break from their daily life and their daily routine, and just appreciate everyone around them, be thankful, and yeah, I guess everyone's got the opportunity to actually enjoy what's the actual life you have. It's just not about all the your career, all your ambitions or what, but the thing is everyone's around you, your loved one, your family ones, your friends, everything is something that you have to appreciate. I mean, in terms of let's say that we had become just like a prisoner or something that we have to apply during the pandemic. But the thing is, if we look in the positive perspective, yeah, there's a lot of silver lining behind it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I can add more. And I agree with Hamiza said that I think all of us feels like we appreciate more, reminding that how our life is, how we do our routine, but now it is completely something different. So I think I think we also reflect about it, and and we appreciate more to it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with the fact that it's about appreciation of what we have in practice. So and because it's obviously because it was the only, and actually is also right now the only thing we can the starting point of our new daily life and our personality. So we were obliged to stay home, and so we try to discover maybe also new spaces of our houses, new things, and So,
but it is also what Maria Rapicavoli actually did in her artwork, like discovering, for example, the way the way in which light, for example, entered in her apartment, or also discovering little dramas such as the broken glass or the broken shelter of a little animal.
Also, maybe studying your neighbors, which is something that I really enjoyed during the lockdowns, because it was like watching a TV series on Netflix.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that we can stop here. I launched the last poll on Slido, asking whether you experienced the so-called Michelangelo's effect during this pandemic. I remember that it is possible to look the exhibition on the Particle website, and if you want, you have many opportunities to leave your opinion, to say what you think about the artworks, and also after the Maria Rapicavoli's artwork, it is possible to leave an audio file on which you can say, for example, whether you experienced and how did you experience the Michelangelo's effect. I think that we can stop here, and I really want to thank Umaira and Anisa for their presence today.
Yeah, it was very interesting, also for the exchange of cultural opinions and about in general, and also obviously in particular about the lockdown.
Anisa, you will have other opportunities to come in Italy. Don't worry.
Yeah, I will love to. It's my dream to come to Italy. Yeah. It's I mean, I'm very interested in learning Italian language.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You enjoy it. And thank you also to all the people who followed our live.
Thank you to Kate and their amazing drawings.
Yeah, thank you. Caterina, if you want to intervene. Grande Kate. All right.
So,
thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Can we have a group photo, please?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Right. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Goodbye.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Katrina, you done a great job. Or at least you say that.
I think we did a good job. Yeah.
We lost everyone. Caterina, come va?
Bene, dai.
È super stressante il lato mio perché, guarda...
immagino, no, io intanto disegnavo, non sapevo esattamente che cosa condividevi, che cosa no ad un certo punto, però io intanto ho continuato a disegnare un po'.
Infatti, fermo lo
per fortuna che avevo già preparato